Hello, we're back with day 5 of No So November, hosted by Meg Journals. And today's creative prompt is found words. So here is a walkthrough of how I created my layout, including that prompt. And once again, I had a very busy day with lots of challenges, so it was good to take some short pauses and work through my page. But that meant that I didn't record because it wasn't a single session. So I just wanted to kind of share the process of what I did and why I did it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I started off with my page and I glued on some napkin. It's barely visible, but what it does is help push back some of that text. So you know how we often will glue decorative napkins into our layouts? Well, there's 2 or 3 layers of just plain white tissue paper that becomes pretty transparent when you glue it. And basically, I just have this glue here. I take regular PVA glue. It's kind of the same as, any kind of cheap glue will work. I actually really like this Montmart, but any PVA glue would be great. And I just mix it with water, about half and half. It should be thin, and that's so that I can brush it on with one of my old crummy brushes so that I don't ruin it. But you see, it's very liquid. So that is the consistency of, say, milk, I would say. That should be about right. And you can brush it on the tissue, and as long as you just do a single pass, it doesn't tear the tissue. If you do tear the tissue, don't worry. It just leaves some really cool texture. So give it a whirl, and, no loss. It's just some white tissue that you were probably going to throw away anyway. And then on top of that, just to add some additional warmth and color to sort of block out a little bit more, but continue with that tissue transparency. Every time I drink my tea, I save my tea bags, let them dry, and then I just, I used to very carefully tear them apart, remove the staple, and separate them, but, I drink a lot of tea this time of year, and so I have an abundance of tea bags at all times. So I've actually just been kind of clipping them at the top, which is why I have these weird spiky pieces, which I can leave in place or just trim off before I glue down. Same concept. You just take that glue, put your tea bag down, brush over top a little bit of that thinned out Elmer's or PVA glue, and ta-da, you get this. And I love that the tea that I'm drinking will stain the tea bag itself. I just think it gives it a little interest, a little texture. It makes for good ways to obscure or push back elements. And in this case, I wanted the text to remain visible because it is an altered book, but, not have that be the star of the show. So that's how I did my background on both sides. I just alternated white tissue and tea bags. Next, I then just grabbed my really cheap purple paint, not my favorite, came up with a color scheme. So I decided I was going to aim primarily for orange, green, and purple. Why? Well, I broke out my handy dandy color wheel and looked at what a good triad would be. And I knew that I wanted to use some orange and green. Originally, I had a completely different idea. I was going to use pumpkins, and, as usual, I started with a plan and then it shifted as I went. But I did stick with that original color combo of purple, orange, and green. And, painted in poorly, home sweet home, with a little heart. And that was kind of the first thing I did. And because this is really about found words, I also am in the process of cleaning up, upgrading, reorganizing my craft space, and I had a pile of words and magazine images that were poorly tucked into an inexpensive and ill-made container. And I transferred them into these clear envelopes temporarily until my new organizer arrived. So I got like a nice bamboo organizer where I will store found words or things that I've typed up myself as little poems or quotes or phrases. Same thing with images. And I figured, since I was already digging around in here, and I knew I was going to be using found words that I've cut out from magazines over the years, I decided to just go full declutter, destash, and start gluing stuff down however it felt right. So that's what you see here. I started with this concept of home sweet home, and then I found this quote, no matter where you go, it's someone else's local. And I was like, so true. I love that. How can I start incorporating the fact that you have a home and you travel, but wherever you travel to, that's someone else's home or their local. So I just grabbed any images that, or words or phrases that reminded me of home and travel, and how the only difference between home and travel or local or far away is your perspective at any time. And so I grabbed this picture of this family, which I thought was super cute. Look at this little baby, so adorable. It's a family riding a train, and I put that on top and said, in good company, speaking to about home versus away, or your local versus a different local from another perspective. I found an image of a dog, which reminds me of Home Sweet Home, and a fox, which is not too far removed, really, and added him over here in this little garden scene that I captured and glued down. And then from that, I started thinking about travel and wandering, and I got this on a pair of socks, and I couldn't help but cut it out and keep it, and I finally had a spot to use it. Some more images. This lady looks like she was just having fun, so she represented travel. I had a passport image. Summer adventure awaits. This just looked like a cozy street, and again, home reminds me of warmth, and so it's a woman who is sort of warmly looking into the sun down the street. And for summer adventure and wandering, I've got some backpackers, and I basically just said in good company. So the last piece was something I had typed up right after I got my typewriter at an estate sale, and it just says, realize that everything connects to everything else. You can never do anything in isolation. And that just kind of, for me, talk about the connection, the being in good company, how you're never really isolated, whether you're home or far, you know, you're connected to everyone and everything that you're experiencing. And I just thought that was really, I don't know, cozy and warm and beautiful. I love being home and I love traveling, and so this dichotomy really speaks to me personally. And I don't know, in an attempt to kind of highlight a few items and pull it all together, I just took my Posca and kind of drew around some areas to pull them forward and made a little border that goes around to contain it all and tie it together so that it feels somewhat connected. So I don't know. This is how I feel about it, my interpretation. Love to hear your thoughts. I'm always working to learn and improve as I go, and so your feedback would be helpful. And I enjoy watching what all of you do every day too. So as always, can't wait to see what you guys did for your prompt. Here's mine. Thanks so much. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for hidden message. So that's exciting. I'll have to put my thinking cap on and figure out what I'm gonna do for my hidden message. All right. Have a great night. Bye.